Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. So it's an odd day because it looks like we're going to have a 25 basis point cut by the Fed, yet the market is not reacting in the way that you would think it is. So we take a look here. Right now, I think most of us already have checked this out. But if you're not, you're just waking up. Good morning. Bitcoin down about a percentage point. Ethereum down 2.6. XRP is pretty much a red day. The last hour has been a little bit of an improvement, but over 24 hours, you can just see a sea. Well, you can see a sea of red. Essentially, that's what it is. And if we take a look at the poly market, because I thought, well, maybe, just maybe, 25 basis points is not on the table. But so far, if we're taking a look at it, it looks like 25 basis points cut. I mean, as far as like with a 98% assurance, it is going to happen. And that will be shown at 2 p.m. today. What is it? Wednesday, FOMC interest rate decision at 2, and then the Fed, Jerome Powell will be having his press conference after that. So I know it kind of feels right now like the market is not doing what it usually does, and it's very difficult. But I got to tell you, there's only one person that can really bring us out of this, to really help us and get an understanding, and that would be Tom Crown. Tom Crown is in the chats today, so maybe we'll have a great day coming up. If you haven't subscribed to Tom, you should check him out. I will be there myself listening to his Jerome Powell show. But before we get into that and we go over to Tommy's channel, let me just remind you of something. Because I know the sentiment, the fastest thing in the universe, it isn't the speed of sound or the speed of light. It is a sentiment that changes in the crypto market space for what's bullish and what's bearish. And I just want to remind everybody that, remember this, 2021, oh man, it was great. Everything was going up. You couldn't fail. You just throw a dart at a dartboard, pick up some altcoin, and bam, you were a millionaire. Well, during that time, in 2021 of April, we went from 20, 30K to just double like it was overnight. And it was just fantastic. And then we lost 50%, and we were in the 29K range. If you weren't there, let me tell you what it was like. It was everybody saying that Bitcoin was now useless. Altcoins had no utility. It didn't matter what you did because it was all a scam. And this was the worst market of all time, and that you should have been in the S&P 500 or individual stocks. Of course, we all know what happened after that. Around November or so, we went to 67,000, and everybody's like, this is the best market of all time. This has huge utility. Scam, who the heck said that? Wasn't me. Of course it's not. So when we take a look at this, it's the same thing happening over and over again. And that's what leads me to Paul Tudor Jones. Now, I got to tell you, Paul, when he comes off, first of all, he's pretty much an investment legend. And he's made a lot of right calls. And what he's talking about here is it feels like 1999. And to get the context of what that is, the same thing is repeating over and over and over again here, especially in Q4. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a listen to this. There's 3 pieces to it. The first one's about a minute, next one's like a minute and a half, and the last one's about 2. So just take a listen to this as Tom's saying, like, essentially, like, hey, this feels like 1999. And he should know because he was trading back then. Take a listen.
It's 1999. Party like it's 1999, right? Feels exactly like 1999. I don't know whether we'll actually replay it exactly, but I think all the ingredients are in place. And certainly from a trading standpoint, you have to position yourself like it's October 99. I don't see why you would do anything but that. And remember, the NASDAQ doubled between the first week of October 99 and March of 2000. So if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably not a chicken, right?
Very funny. But yeah, Paul's right. I mean, these are the same things that are repeating over and over again. And what he was talking about is that time frame. Everything is good to take a look at in context. And what he was talking about was in 1999, NASDAQ Composite. Take a look at this. Of course, everybody's eyes are going to go to the right and are going to go up and to the right. And we take a look at the NASDAQ, we're like, wow, look at that in 2019 and 20, and then of course coronavirus. What he is referencing is down here in the 1999s. And look at this. Actually, let me just blow this up because this doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like it, like they're like, who cares about it? That's nothing. What he is talking about is this is just a very big play back in this time frame. If you go from 1999 in a very short amount of time, look at that, how much it went up. And essentially it doubled in no time whatsoever. And we're looking at February, March 1999, all the way up to December 1999. Wow. And what he's going to talk about next is why it exploded like that and how things are repeating the same way. And also what he's going to talk about, which I think is more important, is you see this top right here, roughly in February of 2000, that's called the dot-com bubble. And it burst like crazy. And after that, it went down magnificently. What goes up must come down. So all these things he's talking about are great, but you have to understand on the flip side of what's going to happen. You can't have a parabolic rise without a massive disaster of a drop. But that's getting ahead of it. Let's just take a listen to what he has to say here. Let me make sure you can hear this. Perfect. And again, this is Paul talking about why this will actually explode and go into the stratosphere. And it makes a lot of sense, actually, especially in the macro. Take a listen.
Right.
You're missing out on the juice. If you do play it, you have to have really happy feet, because there will be a really, really bad end to it. And my guess is that I think all the ingredients are in place for some kind of a blow-off. Will it happen? Again, history rhymes a lot, so I would think some version of it is going to happen again.
Right.
If anything now is so much more potentially explosive than 1999. 1999, we were looking at a rate hike in November. Now we're looking at a rate cut. We were looking at 4 more rate hikes before we actually topped in 2000. Now we're looking at 3 or 4 rate cuts, probably at least. So you have monetary policy that's going to take us to real rates of 0 or less, probably, depending upon the next Fed chair. And then the big difference is, obviously, fiscal policy. We had a budget surplus in 99, 2000. Now we've got a 6% budget deficit. So that combination, that fiscal monetary combination, is a brew that we haven't seen since, I guess, the post-war period, early 50s, something like that. And that was crazy times, right, coming out of the war.
But you think that?
Yeah, that was crazy times. But what he talked about there makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Like, we're setting it all up. We're seeing how the macro can play into that, and then off we go. But the big question is, okay, well, Paul, if that's actually going to happen, because nobody knows. And even Paul talks about, he's like, I don't really know. Even though I'm like a legend in the investing TradFi space, I don't really know where things are going. This is just set up for a massive bull run. So the last question, which was this, okay, if this does happen, how do you position yourself? And it was kind of surprising what he said. So again, take a listen to this. This is about, this is a couple minutes. I think it's important that you hear just what he's saying and what to actually invest into. Take a listen.
Okay, if you're right, who are the winners then in that, and who are the losers? Because right now we're looking at NVIDIA obviously being a major winner. Even AMD today, major winner, but there's this unique arrangement that's almost circular.
The circularity makes me nervous. I would say, and I'm going to think of it in broad terms, I think what the markets are telling you, this is an inflation story down the road. If you look at the biggest winners, right, the biggest winners are gold. I think it's up 46, 47%.
Right.
Bitcoin, I want to say it's up 50 or 60. I'm not even sure. There's a Morgan Stanley basket that's a retail flow basket that has all the meme stocks in it. It's up 67, 68%. So it's really what retail jumps on. So crypto, digital gold, that's obviously something that's very, very appealing.
Does that mean you're jumping on all of that right now?
Well, I'd want to have positions in all of it, for sure.
Well, there you go.
So if you said to me, what are going to be the winners? Again, we have this race.
Right.
The race, realistically, is certainly to the end of the year, because that's when everyone marks institutionally. And then you have to figure out what's going to go on in next year. So what would I want to have? I'd want to have a combination of gold, crypto, probably the NASDAQ. I think, I want to say that I've said that before, and I think that's still the right one. And I think whatever the fastest horse is at this point in time probably has a good chance of being that on deck 31.
And there you go. So we have something there from Paul, and it makes a lot of sense. And I just want to give this to talk about what he talked about, just to give everybody context. So I know right now it's like, you know, October wasn't really October. It was pretty much sideways Tober or down Tober. So what's going to happen in November? I still say that Q4 is going to be pretty good. There's no reason, there's no specific reason that I can really point to as to why things would go sideways moving into Q4. Now, anything can actually happen. This is the crypto market, and this is just markets in general. The markets are sometimes very irrational, but I still say we've got a lot of runway to go before we run out into potentially the big bad bear. And that's it for today. So look, like today's video, give it a thumbs up. So just grabbing everything we talked about is time sensitive, especially these next 2 months. So now if you want to stick around, we'll do a little Q&A. I'll answer all your questions. I'll ask you some questions, and then we'll get out of here. All right. So Alchemist says pre-dump interview. Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, we could drop down 20, 50%. It's not unnatural for the crypto market to do that. If it does, I guess the question that you have to ask yourself is, if we do have this major, massive dump, is did I invest into the right thing? Did I maybe diversify my portfolio enough? I know there was somebody in the comments yesterday which was like, you know, I just hate seeing how crypto doesn't do anything and how my traditional stocks are doing, which they're, you know, flying off the shelves and going to the moon. Everything's great. And I answered them. I said, isn't that fantastic that you can have on one day or 1 week, you can have something lagging and not doing so great because you diversified your portfolio. Now over here, now things are taking off. Isn't that feel good? Of course, the response is, you know, we feel even better if they both took off. Well, yes, that's true, but then you're being pretty greedy. So when you take a look at modern day portfolios, the thing that you want to look at is how many are balanced, or are they all just concentrated into one thing? Because that's all they're going to do. And if that's the case, and you want to concentrate into one thing, then great, go for it. Just remember, for every one Bitcoin, for every one NVIDIA out there, there's going to be one more or 10 or actually 100,000 Lunas that are out there that just pretty much go to zero. So just be aware that these are the things that can happen. All right. Cora says, what happened to Tron? What happened to everything? Let's see how things are doing. Let's see. Tron is down in 24 hours, is down 0.4%. Down 10% for the month, but Dogecoin is down 15. Solana's not too bad. For XRP down 7. Ethereum's only down 2.5. So yeah, it is what it is. Chainlink. This is a funny thing about Chainlink. Chainlink is down 15%, and they have an agreement with Swift to help them with cross-border payments. They have all these connections. I mean, you can't do squat without an Oracle, especially with TradFi, and they're down 15%. It's amazing to me over the 30 days. So who knows? Everybody guess. Anybody's guessed. Irrational investments are my specialty. Sounds like you should meet my friend Bobby. Let's see. Mason Torium says, how long do alts run during the parabolic part of the cycle? This is a nuanced question, and really takes a look at, you can lump all altcoins together. You can lump blue chips like Ethereum and say Solana. Well, I wouldn't say Solana. Let's just say Ethereum. And would you lump Ethereum in with Fartcoin? You know, because they're all altcoins. See, then now you have to define what that is. For me, when I take a look at it, I don't know which ones will stay forever, but usually what happens is Bitcoin will top, then you have a week, maybe 3, before everything starts to collapse on the crypto side. Look no further than 2017, and we topped in December 16th or 17th, 2017. And roughly the first or second week of January is when ETH hit its all-time high. And the rest of them did. And then they crashed like they always crash. All right. Tony says, AI and .com aren't the same thing. AI is substance. It's in use, just not speculative like the .com. Well, I mean, the .com era, let's be honest. Yesterday, I talked about this Android called Neo that looked to be rolling out ahead of Optimus from Tesla. And I was super excited. And then when I dug into it afterwards, I found out that that product is nowhere near ready to be shipped. It can't even close the door on your washing machine. I mean, it's great that it can stand up, fantastic, but I'm not paying $20,000 for a piece of metal just to stand there in my living room. So when I take a look at like AI and things like that, there is going to be speculation. There is going to be people who are getting to it way ahead of what they should. Will it be the next big thing? I believe so. It was the same thing with .com. They're going to speculate on pets.com, but they're also going to take a look at what was Yahoo back then, and one of the first search engines for browsers and such like that. So there's going to be some winners, going to be some losers, but there's going to be speculation massively in AI, and that's why I talk about getting into crypto AI, because it's going to happen anyhow. All right. And that's it, everybody. I think I answered all the questions. Eric says, everybody calling for a bubble makes me think no bubble. A little thing to take a look at. We're almost at all-time highs. We've hit all-time highs for S&P 500. But take a look at the fear and greed index right now for traditional markets. And just think to yourself, why are they at that level when we are at all-time highs? Do they know something, or are they irrational? Do they think that a recession is coming, or depression? It kind of seems that way. For some market that's really taken off, everybody's scared as hell. Anyhow, that's it for today. So thanks, everybody. On your way out, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. It'll be, I don't know if we're going to do a one tonight, but NFA Live is tomorrow on Guy's channel over at Coin Bureau, and we'll see you then. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Adios.